subscribe to my channel.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Understanding the Self. And for today, we are going to talk about the anthropological conceptualization of self. But first, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Lynette de la Cruz Baybay, together with my group members, Joan Baez and Joan Ante. So now, we're going to unpack how to understand the culture and self as a complementary concepts, and why is the self is considered as an anthropological self. So, to begin with our discussion, here are the learning objectives of our topic.
Learning objectives. Recognize what the field of anthropology can contribute to the understanding of the self. Understand how culture and self are complementary concepts. Discuss the cultural construction of the self and social identity. Explain the concept of identity struggle and develop insight on how to achieve a sense of self situated in multicultural and dynamic situation. Anthropology. What about anthropology is? Considered as one of the most complex areas of discipline, has explored various meanings of culture, self, and identity in the desire to come up with a better understanding of the self. Is concerned with how cultural and biological processes interact to shape human experience. So basically, it's something to do with the culture of a human being. Different phases of culture. So there are some aspects that affect to the human being culture. That can be an attitude, beliefs, language, costumes, rituals, behavior, faith or religion, food, drama or art, music. James L. Peacock, as American anthropologist. According to him, anthropology encroaches on the territory of the sciences as well as the humanities and transcend the conventional boundaries of both while addressing questions from the distant past and the present, perhaps with implications for the future. So that's our experience from the previews that matter on the present time. Employing anthropological perspective that is perceiving holistically what could be the answer to the questions, who am I? Anthropology considered human experience as an interplay of nature, referring to a genetic inheritance which set the individual potential and nurture, referring to the socio-cultural environment. The most important contribution of the anthropology is providing insight into the nature of self based on continuous understanding of the basic elements of culture. The cultural construction of self and identity. Edward Taylor, a British anthropologist, defined culture as that complex whole which include knowledge, belief, art, moral, law, customs, and other capabilities and habits acquired by man as a member of society. And then Martin Zuckerfeld, German anthropologist, believed that the concept of self is a necessary supplement to a concept of culture in anthropology and should be regarded as a human universal. Culture as self thus become complementary concepts that have to be understood in relation to one another. So, from this, where the person situated on a certain place or where the person belong, also the social surround them, it can affect who he is or who she is, and the people also in the community.
So, there are two sides of identity found in every person in every culture. So, that's the egocentric self and the sociocentric self. Okay, so let us start with egocentric view. In this particular view, the self is viewed as an autonomous and distinct individual. So kapag sinabi nating egocentric, ito yung mga self-centered na tao or yung may lack of self-esteem. So they think only on themselves and their own wants. So good example here was the Americans because they were very egocentric. So they believe that they should be assertive and independent. Social-centric self. Ito yung mga socially oriented na tao. So they focus on one's own social group. Malaki emphasis ng mga sociocentric culture sa social setting na meron sila. So for example, here is the Chinese. So the Chinese prioritize kin ties and cooperations, and they put importance to compliance and subordination of one's will to the authority figures in the family. And for the anthropologist Christy Kiefer, she said that the Japanese possess a sociocentric view of the self in which the membership of a person in a particular social group defines the boundaries of the self. So, the interdependence between the person and the group is more valued than independence. So, as in the Philippines, Filipinos are known to be collective because of our concept of pakikisama. Whereas the Chinese-American anthropologist Francis Shu, he says that the attributes of sociocentric view of the self to the Chinese. He explains that the Chinese prioritize kin ties and cooperation. In contrast, the Japanese and Chinese and then the Americans are egocentric. So in order for us to be able to assess our identity, we must look to our identity toolbox. It shows that we have all the capability to choose different experiences in molding our social self. So, yung identity natin as a person, dinedetermine natin yan using our similarities and differences. Kadalasan, sa mga sociocentric na tao, pinaprioritize nila yung similarities nila, and sa mga egocentric naman, pinaprioritize nila yung differences nila. Personal naming. It is a universal practice with numerous cross-cultural variations that establishes a child's birthright and social identity. Personal names in all societies are intimate markers of a person which differentiates him or her from others. So, yung mga pangalan natin, isa siya sa primary individual trait natin as a person. So, very important part siya as a part of our identity. So, for example, the Aymara Indians. So, Aymara Indians do not consider an infant as a true human being until a name is given to him or her. So, dito sa kanila, kapag yung bata is around 2 years old and ready to speak Aymara language, meron silang special ritual na pinaperform bago pangalanan yung bata. So, parang may sisilbing marker yung identity ng bata that makes him fully accepted into Aymara community. Next is the Minangkabao culture. Okay, so here, the children inherit their mother's family name. So, another unique name is practiced in Arctic Canada, kung saan yung mga bata are named after their deceased relative. Kasi dito, naniniwala sila na magiging helpful yun for their character formation. And lastly, here in the Philippines, it is a common practice of Catholic parents to name their children after saints. Kasi naniniwala sila na kapag pinangalanan nila yung mga anak nila ng sacred name, mabibless and mapoprotektahan sila throughout their life. So dito, for example, si Saint Lorenzo Ruiz, si Blessed Jose Maria de Manila, si Padre Calungsod, Bishop Alfredo Villar, Father Teofilo Camomot, and Father Alfredo Versosa.
One of the anthropologists is Arnold van Gennep. He believes that changes in one's status and identity are marked by a three-phases rite of passage. These are the separation, liminality, and incorporation. Separation phase, people detach from their former identity to another. And liminality phase, a person transitions from one identity to another. The third one is incorporation phase. The change in one's status is officially incorporated. And last, identity struggles. Interaction in which there is a discrepancy between identity a person claims to possess and the identity attributed to that person by others. So, I'll give example for these spaces. So, the first one, separation phase. This one is the example po is a person is resigning from their long-term job to embark on a new career path represents the separation phase. The individual consciously detaches from their previous professional identity. So this one is yung parang, syempre, alam mo na kung anong ginagawa mo sa araw-araw, parang nasanay ka na kung ano yun, and doon na rin nabuo yung sarili mo. So kapag nag-iba ka pa ng profession and nagpunta ka pa sa different path or different job, mag-iiba na naman, magre-reconstruct na naman yung parang new beginning na naman. So may iwan mo naman yung isang identity mo dun sa past job. So in the second one, liminality phase. This phase are kunyari is during a vacation, minsan or kadalasan na experience natin yung liminality. Nararanasan natin yung transitional state, yung kumbaga na kapag nagbe-vacation ka, syempre, hindi mo maiiwasan na maisip pa rin yung mga schedules mo. Parang, syempre, yung daily works mo and daily routines mo, nagkakaroon ka ng check ng pagising sa umaga, tapos mag-check ng mga schedules, tapos hindi sanay yung katawan mo para sa bagong phases. So the third one is in preparation phase. After completing a challenging training program, individuals may enter the incorporation phase as they integrate the acquired skills and knowledge into their daily professional practices. This phase marks the assimilation of the new identity. Good example dito is yung mga soldiers, yung nagtitraining camp. Meron sila, syempre papasok sila nang wala silang alam tungkol dun sa profession nila. Pero pagtapos nun is magkakaroon na sila ng new identity na parang kailangan ko gawin to if something happened na gano'n. Parang yung knowledge nila and yung skills nila, i-acquire nila yun sa daily life nila ngayon. So sa identity struggles naman, adolescents navigating the transition from high school to college may encounter identity struggles. The challenge of adapting to a new environment, forming new relationships, and defining their personal values contribute to this phase of uncertainty and self-discovery. So this identity struggles is about yung kapag syempre high school ka. So sa high school, iba naman yung phase nun, magiging parang masaya and maraming new adventures and journey. Syempre sa college rin, meron rin new adventures and journey, pero sa ibang tao naman. So parang may isip mo kung ano ba talaga ako? Parang dati naman hindi ako ganito. So this identity struggles, dun yun papasok sa first to third siguro ng years ng pagiging college life. And then Golubovic, 2011, suggests that in order to attain self-identification, individuals have to overcome any obstacles such as traditionally established habits and externally imposed self-images. So this, yung sinasabi naman ni Golubovic na dapat kapag para makamit mo yung self-identification mo, meron ka dapat na maranasan na journey, experiences, and meron kang nagsiset ka ng standards about your self-images. So, ganyan yung sinasabi ni Golubovic. Catherine Ewings naman, meron siyang illusion of wholeness na nagsasabing exhibits how individual selves throughout the world continuously reconstitute themselves into new selves in response to internal and external stimuli. So, yung illusion of wholeness, yun yung identity mo na isa kang flawless, isa kang perfect, parang ganun, in everyday struggle. Kahit alam mo namang hindi. Kahit alam mo namang marami kang flaw, marami kang failures, and marami ka. Pero iniisip mo rin, iniisip mo pa rin na ito whole ako para sa next phase mo is magiging better na. Yung parang ganun. And this one is the self as embedded in culture. So let me introduce the self-embedded culture po. The concept of self-embedded culture refers to a societal environment where individual identities are closely intertwined with an influence by culture norms, values, and practices. In such cultures, personal identities are often shaped and defined by the larger culture context. These interdependence can impact various aspects of life, including behavior, beliefs, and social interactions. Individuals within self-embedded culture may find a strong sense of identity and belonging within the cultural framework, but it can also bring challenges as expectations and norms play a significant role in shaping personal choices and expressions. The balance between individuality and conformity in such cultures can vary, impacting how people navigate their identities within the broader culture contexts. Bali dito sa self-embedded culture, yung may connection ang culture and within yourself. So, dito, specifically for Gertz, an American anthropologist, offer a reformulation of the concept of culture which favors a symbolic interpretative model of culture. He agrees with Max Weber na nagsasabing man is an animal suspended in webs of significance he himself was one, in which those webs are perceived to be symbolic of culture. So, yung sinasabi ni Max Weber, man is an animal, is nag-e-emphasize sa idea ng human beings. Katulad ng ibang animals, nag-e-exist lang din sila sa world natin. Parte talaga sila ng natural world. However, that distinguish human is their ability to create and live in a complex system of meaning and interpretation. This web tinutukoy ni Webb yung cultural, social, and symbolic structures that human constructs. So, meron two important ideas si Gertz. The first one is culture should not be perceived only as a complexes of concrete behavior, patterns, customs, usages, traditions, habit clusters assessed by the large, being the case up to now, but a set of control mechanisms, plans, recipes, rules, and instructions for the governing behavior. And secondly, man is precisely the animal most disparately dependent upon such extragenetic, outside the scheme, control mechanism, such cultural programs for ordering his behavior. And sinasabi ni Gertz yung important ideas, hindi lang yun about within sa atin. Hindi lang yun sa pagkakaroon natin ng tradition, hindi lang yun sa habit natin, hindi lang tayo yun. Kumbaga, meron rin tong parte, parang meron tong dapat rules, meron tong guide para malaman natin kung sino talaga tayo. Kailangan natin ng mga programs or sumali sa mga different traditions. So lastly, Gertz also emphasized that human nature is interdependent with culture, saying na without men, no culture. Certainly, but equally and more significantly, without culture, no men. Likewise, Robbins 2012 considered human beings as cultural animals as they create the meanings of objects, persons, behaviors, emotions, and events, and behave in accordance with meanings they assume to be true. So, dito sa may without men, no culture, sinasabi nito is, syempre yung man nagkakaroon, yung mga men nagkakaroon, the people itself, meron siyang actions and beliefs na nagko-contribute sa cultural practices, traditions, and values. So kapag walang pag walang men, parang wala rin ng culture, wala rin mabubuo na traditions, wala rin value. Paano pa magbubuo ng isang kultura kung wala ka namang tao? So, without culture, no man, vice versa lang naman sila. This part underscores the idea that culture is essential for the existence and identity of the individuals. Culture provides the framework through which individuals understand themselves, relate to others, and make sense of the world. It suggests that without the influence of culture, individuals might lack the shared meanings and norms that shape their identity. In essence, the statement highlights the inseparable connection between the two individuals and the cultural context, emphasizing the mutual influence and the dependence of the two. So, yun nga yung nasabi ko, without culture, no man, magiging magkakaroon din ng wala ng saysay yung pagiging isang tao kung wala ka namang culture. Yun yung sinasabi dito. So, let's wrap it up. No? Sana may natutunan kayo within this topic. So, I'd like to thank you and we would like to thank you for listening to our topic. Have a blessed day.